Hello, hello, welcome to Sheba Sunday. I don't even know what episode this is, but happy Sunday, good afternoon, buenas tardes. I hope y'all are having a really good weekend and a really good week, a great start to April. I hope no one got you too bad on April Fools. I totally get the sentiment. People are like, no April Fools this year. Everything is already such a ridiculous joke. I just don't think I can take the universe laughing at me at my expense anymore. Um, so I get it. But yeah, hopefully it was an uneventful day for you. I had a fun day yesterday. I had a really fun weekend in all. Um, this was me and Billy's anniversary weekend. March 31st was the fateful night of our meeting, after talking on Tinder for a day or two. Hey, Billy, happy Sunday. Yeah, so this is our 2-year wedding anniversary, the cotton anniversary, I looked up. And isn't that crazy? I have cotton root bark tattooed on my arm. Woo. It's a natural abortifacient and birth control that enslaved women used to use. So, love that. And yeah, Billy got me a lovely card. On Friday, we kind of took the day off work and just like hung out together and chilled. And we made plans to go hang out with our friends later that night. And yeah, so it was just a really lovely day. I had a really great time. And crazy thing happened though. As we were about to go down to DC to hang out with our friends, um, we have an alarm on our house, and as we leave the house, I try to arm it, and it gives you like a minute of like beep, beep to let you know it's arming, and you have about a minute to get out of the house before the alarm goes off, and it's just like a whole thing. So I put the alarm on. Then I remember, oh, let me turn off the heater, the space heater upstairs. Because isn't that a thing? Space heaters cause like fires somehow. I don't get how it happens, but like, like I am not trying to burn down my house. That would really put a damper on things. So put the alarm on. Starts beep, beep. I run upstairs. I unplug the space heater. I also, want to turn off the light in the room. So I turn off the light. I turn around, sprint downstairs because when it gets to 15 seconds on the alarm, it starts going beep, 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 beep. And it just sounds like real intense. It sounds like a bomb's about to go off. So I unplug the space heater, turn off the light, turn and start sprinting downstairs, and I smack into a door. I had left like the closet door open. To go into our bedroom, there's like you go in the door, and then right here there's a closet. And if you don't close the door and you're in a rush and you violate the one rule of moving up out in a dark room, don't sprint, well, you might run directly into a door. Billy says that like he heard me like running around upstairs. I was like running, and then he hears bam, and then silence. He's like, "You okay?" And I was like, I saw like, stars, and I was like, "What happened?" Then I was like, "Oh my God, did I just run into a door?" That's like a ridiculous, I was just so like stunned at my, stupidity and just like, oh, come on, haste makes waste. So I like go downstairs. I'm like, Billy, I just ran into a door. And he was like, what, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Let's just go. And I turn off the rest of the lights or something. Anyway, I do something that makes Billy notice that there's like, I left blood stains on the light switch, and he was like, hold on, let's see. I had this cut on my eye, and it like looked really deep. And I was like, oh man, my beautiful face. He was like, go look in the mirror. And I was expecting like my eye to be like all like bright red with blood, and just like, I was like, fuck, what did I do? Come on, Sheebs, you like take better care of yourself. Anyway, hold on. 111. I'm loved, I'm safe, I'm powerful, I'm free. My timing is perfect. All the good things in my life are infinite. Everything I need is already within me. I'm luck. Everything always works out for me. I attract wealth and money. I'm full of grace and ease and joy. Anyway, back to the story. Billy took this picture of me, and it's like, there's blood running down my face, and this cut is on my thing. And we text our friends, because our friends are actually nurses, a nurse and a physician's assistant. So I was like, should I like run by Kaiser real quick? Because it looked like a real deep cut. And I was like, oh God. But actually our friends are like medical professionals. So they were like, just come, put some ice on your head in the meantime, and we'll come and stitch you up. And so I've got this like badass little, scar. Billy actually also has a little scar on his eyebrow. So it's like we're twins. It's like I got myself a little free tattoo. Man. I always used to think when like, like when those stories of when a woman has been like abused and she's like trying to hide it. And she's like, no, I ran into a door. I ran into a door. I'm like, girl, come on. That is not even a believable story. Who runs into a door? Damn it. So my dumbass. Haste makes waste. It was a good lesson. It was actually really funny. So once Billy put a Band-Aid on it, and um, we drove down to hang out with our friends, and it was just funny. We kept like laughing about it. I kept like laughing at how silly I am. I like chilled all day, and at the very last minute, I rushed so much so that I like sustained a head injury. It was just like, girl, slow down. Um, but anyway, it was cool. I kind of like, I feel like I have resting nice face, so I need a little like, scars to know like, don't mess with me. I'm scrappy. And hopefully that's what people think of me when they see me. But yeah, so that's what that is. I bet it's gonna like heal into a very cute scar that people will ask me about. And I'll tell them I sprinted at full speed into a door. um, People were asking me about it, and I like had this idea that like, I don't know, I'm just so restless. I feel like this human form is so limiting. And on some level, I bet I thought I could just like phase through any obstacle. No door is closed to me. Anyway, I like thinking of things in a nuanced, kind of different way. Which I guess kind of brings us to the topic for today, which I called this episode Love, Vulnerability, and Johnathan Majors. Who's Johnathan Majors, you might ask, if you aren't, big on pop culture or current events. Let me clue you in, catch you up to speed. Johnathan Majors, man, he's been a darling over the past couple of years. Let me see. Watch Video Big. That's my favorite, one of my favorite arrangements on this, because like, I want you to see me, but also know what I'm talking about. So here we go. Johnathan Majors. Let's do it big, actually, for 1 second. Man, that's like kind of a perfect picture for how like I saw this man in my head, what I knew of him. Johnathan Michael Majors, September 7th, what's that, a Virgo? He's an American actor, graduated from Yale University with a MFA. Is that a Master's of Fine Arts? That's great. He got greater notoriety in Lovecraft County. Y'all might have seen him in that. He also was in The Harder They Fall. He was Nat Love, He was in Creed 3. Oh, Creed 3. Oh, great. I didn't know I could do that. Have you guys seen that one? I haven't seen any of the Creeds, if I'm honest, or really any of the Rockies. I don't like movies about, or like the real life event of like dudes fighting and like beating each other up. That's a strange one to me. Humans are very interesting, but like we love to see that for some reason. But it's just not my cup of tea. But anyway, oh man, interesting. One day maybe I'll do a Black Bunny hole about him. I'm just seeing here, he spent his early years living with his mother, who's a pastor. Interesting. His older sister and younger brother on a military base, as his father was in the U.S. Air Force. He said, our father, who loved us dearly, just kind of disappeared one day, and he resurfaced 17 years later. Interesting. Interesting note about one's upbringing. I know it's an interesting thing to have a military trained father, but our dad always lived with us. He got out of the military when he had kids. So that must have been an interesting experience. Anyway, Mr. Johnathan Majors, you might have seen him recently in that, what was it, Ebony magazine? You might have seen these. Oh, yeah. And I was like living for these, if I'm honest. I love And I was hearing him say like, you know, these things about just like Black masculinity and how masculinity is also about empathy and, you know, art and creativity and vulnerability. And it's true. That's a very important thing. And then there was Johnathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan. They were doing promos for Creed 3. And like they had a bunch of, you know, just pictures of Black men kind of being in a more intimate pose than we're used to seeing. And I love that. You know, I love male platonic intimacy, and we need more of it. Um, yeah, I with Johnathan Majors, he was one of the I have this idea. I know me and Billy are going to be famous one day, and like we're going to have access to a lot of interesting opportunities and things. And I was like, there are not that many cis het dudes that like I find attractive in all of the ways that I want to find someone attractive. But I really liked Johnathan Majors, and I was like, oh man, I don't know him much, but I think I would invite him to the to a foursome, to a threesome with us, you know? He's one of the few cis het men who I'd be like, oh yeah, you can come. You can come hang. Which is why I was that much more devastated when I heard of the recent allegations that have come out about him. That, hold on, Sheba, big, yeah. Yeah, so he was arrested on charges of assault and harassment. You know, not great. He's got a trial date in May. What's like a good source to use? I want something that's, you know, I hate the like I don't want to do like a major news outlet. I don't know. Billy will talk more about how, you know, crazy the media is. But I'll just, you know, talk about it. Let's see. Can I do this? Let's see. Okay. Johnathan Majors was arrested on strangulation and assault charges in Manhattan, involving a confrontation between Majors and an unnamed 30-year-old woman who is reportedly his girlfriend. The alleged victim was treated at a hospital for injuries to her neck and head. Yeah. So, you know, his attorney came out about, sorry, that his attorney said that they had access to written letters from the alleged victim recanting her allegations and exonerating video footage that is yet to be released. And so, you know, now it's like the story that we're familiar with. He said, she said, of like a woman, you know, possibly a white woman misunderstanding an interaction and a Black man being unjustly accused of assault and arrested for it. It's tough. Isn't that tough? When like, an image is confronted with a possible reality that makes the image a little bit more full. It's like, gosh, darn it. Come on. Just when I was thinking like a dude is like, wow, cool. He seems like a really great guy. Man, again. But if anything, this should tell me that like I'm not that great at determining who is and who is not actually a good dude. whatever that means. It made me think of, I realized, when I was looking at my like, oh no, not Johnathan, I realized that I actually don't know Johnathan Majors. And neither do any of us. Any of us who feel like we need to rush to his defense because we don't want another black man falsely accused. We actually don't know this man. Let's go to Sheba Big. Y'all have heard me talk about parasocial relationships before. Is this too big? Yeah, it's okay. A parasocial interaction refers to a kind of psychological relationship experienced by an audience in their mediated encounters with performers in the mass media, particularly on TV and online platforms. Viewers or listeners, like myself, like y'all, come to consider media personalities as friends, despite having no or limited interactions with them. Parasocial interaction is described as an illusory experience, such that media audiences interact with personas like talk show hosts, celebrities, fictional characters, social media influencers, as if they are engaged in a reciprocal relationship with them. A parasocial interaction becomes a parasocial relationship after repeated exposure to the media persona causes the media user to develop illusions of intimacy, friendship, and identification. Positive information learned about the media persona results in increased attraction, and the relationship progresses. Parasocial relationships are enhanced due to trust and self-closure provided by the media personality. Media users, myself, are loyal and feel directly connected to the persona, much as they are connected to their own close friends, by observing and interpreting their appearance, gestures, voice, conversation, and conduct. Because of that, media personas have a significant amount of influence over media users, positive or negative, informing the way that they perceive certain topics or even their purchasing habits. This is how social media introduces additional opportunities for parasocial relationships to intensify, because it provides more opportunities for intimate, reciprocal, and frequent interactions between the user and the persona. So I bring that up after I talk about Johnathan Majors, these awesome, magazine covers and interviews and different glimpses into this person that makes me think that I know him, but I actually don't, and neither do y'all. But it's related to this other thing, the mere exposure effect, or kind of like the familiarity bias. It's like people tend to develop a preference for things merely because they're familiar with them. So it's like why you order the same thing at a restaurant every time. You know that you're going to like this thing, and so you do it all the time, even though maybe the thing isn't even that good. We're just kind of afraid of the unknown, so we go with what we know. Maybe that's why we stay in relationships that aren't necessarily great for us, simply because it's familiar to us. Or, like when you're on your commute, taking the bus or whatever, and you see a person who doesn't work with you, but just happens to be in the same place as you regularly, you start to like them more. You start to be like, oh, Frank, hey. When they aren't on the commute on one day, you're like, oh, where's Frank? What the heck? It feels weird. We kind of miss our buddy, who we actually don't know anything about. Frank could be a murderer, but we don't know, because in our brief, limited interaction with him, nice enough to me. And I think that's what I see going on a lot with this and lots of other, instances of when like a celebrity is in the news. We just have this idea that we like know this person, and this person would never do it. But I have to be honest, the only thing I actually know about Johnathan Majors is that he is highly trained at pretending to be someone he's not. In the most generous, objective framing of what he's chosen to do in his life, be an actor, succeed at it at a place like Yale, a gatekeeping kind of white-led institution. He was able to, hit their milestones of what it is to be a good actor. So it's interesting in moments like these when we're confronted with the idea that someone we thought we knew, because we have a parasocial relationship, we've seen movies in which we were like, oh, if I was that person, if I was in this movie, I would be that person. I would want this person to like me. So because of that, we're like, when we're confronted with this idea of like, wait, he assaulted a woman? He domestic violenced a woman? No, not Johnathan. Not Nat Love. Come on. He only uses violence for good, only because he has to. And we actually don't know anything about Johnathan Majors and what he does and who he is. But I bet, he's a nuanced person. Similarly to the person accusing him of assault. Because I know we also have this idea of like, it's like a rejection of the slogan kind of believe all women. We have heard that we're supposed to do that, certainly in the age of Me Too, we have to believe all women. And I get it. It's like a kind of a Black Lives Matter thing. Like they're saying it because we have shown how much the opposite is true and how harmful our current status quo is, because of us not remembering this slogan. And so, the idea of like believing all women, like I see it in other parasocial relationships we've all had, like Rihanna and Chris Brown. I feel like a lot of us, we're kind of quick to be like, well, she must have said something, he's not a bad guy. He just did this one thing. Let's not ruin his career. That would be the worst thing, and she probably said something. So, we kind of don't believe that like all the pushback or like, accountability or scolding that we ask from Chris Brown. We think it's like a little overblown, like, oh, come on. So I feel like we kind of, I try to believe Rihanna, try to believe Megan Thee Stallion. I try to believe, Black women when they speak about the harm that's caused to them. Because I think Black women certainly are told that, our struggle is not as important as the struggle of Black men. So if there's ever a question of who to support, we go with the Black man. So the Anita Hills of the world, sorry, Black lady, I know this Black man likely sexually harassed you, probably used his position of power to, be a creepy sex pest in the workplace, and he knew you wouldn't be able to do much about it. But Black men used to be lynched because of false allegations, so I'm gonna need you to just take that on the chin, Anita. My bad. Like with Meg Thee Stallion, like I don't even, Tory Lanez seemed like a weird guy to rally behind, and yet it was still kind of this idea that, oh man, a Black man, always the Black women just lying on them. Oh man. She was like, I don't know. I just think I think we don't, like our instinct is not to believe women. It's to believe that women are unfairly trying to, like, lie about the actions of men. Maybe, but it just, back to one of my other episodes, I think the ways men do a great job of rallying behind other men, and whereas like 1 in 4 women have been sexually assaulted, I bet we know way less people in our circle, men in our circle, who have assaulted women. I think we all kind of have this idea that, oh, it happens, but not like that much. And I don't know why we think that. I think we just have a very, like, women are very used to seeing how women who speak about the treatment they've received from men, like, we treat them really poorly, you know? Um, and so, related to this, so Billy says it's a powerful psychological bias that works a lot on an emotional level. Totally. The familiarity bias in parasocial relationships. And so in this case, we've got a guy who I know a lot about from paid gigs he's had, and I've been able to see an image of a person who is vulnerable, who's, being soft, who's being honest, who's seeming like a good guy, but he's also masculine, so it feels good. We love to see this. Conversely, the accuser is a woman who we've heard is white. We otherwise don't know her. The familiarity bias is not going to allow me to empathize with this person that I don't know. So I'm going to have to generalize it to what I know. It's that white women have lied about assault in order to harm black men. I have heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot. And on the idea of believing all women, Candace Owens disagrees with me. She would say that concept is why black men were lynched. And I don't want to get into a whole thing about lynching, but let's at least come to an idea of what lynching is. Lynching. Sheba big. So a lynching. Oh man, sorry, that's not as big as I thought it would be. Let's see. Okay. A lynching is an extrajudicial killing by a group. It's most often used to characterize informal public executions by a mob in order to punish an alleged transgressor, punish a convicted transgressor, or intimidate people. So yeah, it's of a mob to kill someone, especially by hanging, for an alleged offense with or without a legal trial. So, we've all learned about at least one famous lynching, Emmett Till. And the idea that a child, said something to a white woman who told her husband, who gathered up a group of white men and kidnapped and tortured and murdered a child. And for this case, the white mob used a false allegation of assault or, insubordination in order to justify them restoring the order. But a lot of times, I think 38% lynching offenses. 38% of victims of lynching were accused of murder. So a white person would be killed or end up dead, and they would find kind of the nearest black person, accuse them of murder without any evidence and kidnap and torture and murder them. 38%. So then the next is for rape and attempted rape. That's 16, so what is that, like 23% for rape and attempted rape accusations. Anyway, 6% were accused of felonious assault, 7 for theft, 2 for insult to white people, which feels like that's what Emmett Till was lynched for, right? Insult to white people. He was disrespectful to this white woman. Or maybe felonious assault. That could also be. An assault is putting someone in fear of an unconsented to touching. So these laws that we got from England and enshrine here, and we give a lot of like, oh, they're for the good, they're to protect us. You know, they were created by a bunch of tax evading, slave-owning white people, white men. And so the effect of that is like mixed results. They can say things are what they are, and we're supposed to believe it. You know, we're supposed to be like, oh, that's cool. Got it. But yeah. Anyway, this is all to say, we often hear this idea of a black man who is being accused of assault or bad behavior, or, you know, anytime the police is involved in their actions, that they're being lynched. What was that guy? Not Kanye West, even though we did say like, oh, they're trying to lynch him, a public lynching, but the basketball player, man, I don't even remember his name. Okay, what did Billy say? We don't realize how much we bring to the perception of things. We color reality with our own assumptions and biases and hopes. Yeah, absolutely. What's the basketball anti-Semitism? Kyrie Irving. Remember that we were like a couple months ago, he had, posted about some movie that people have said is anti-Semitic. And he allegedly lost a shoe endorsement because of that, or whatever. And we were afraid he was going to lose his job. I heard that he was being publicly lynched. But actually, I looked it up. Kyrie Irving. Boop, boop. So I'm just like looking through, and it doesn't seem like he's been murdered. Seems like he's been playing still. It seems like he just got signed to some team. I feel like, I don't know how Emmett Till ended up is much and was treated is very different from how Kyrie Irving was treated, you know? Like, I think Emmett Till would have loved to have lost a shoe endorsement and have people call him an anti-Semite for a couple days and then continue to make millions of dollars playing a sport well into his 40s. You know? I think we're told when we hear lynching, we're supposed to know, oh, oh, we know exactly what's going on. White people are unfairly accusing a black man of something in order to ruin his reputation and end his life. And so that's why, what's his name? Clarence Thomas. He knew exactly when he was about to get elevated to the highest position in white culture, and a black woman is like, hey, this gives us a fuller picture of who this guy is. He also used his power to sexually assault me. He knew exactly what to do. He knew exactly to say, oh, I'm being lynched. Oh, I'm being lynched. And we all were like, yeah. Oh, let's fight for this black man. A black man would never use his power to assault people who have less power than him. I don't know. Oh man, I meant to bring in this book, the Power of Cancel Culture, or the Case for Cancel Culture, by Ernest Owens. Because over the past couple of years, as I've heard more about rich people who, whenever someone with less power has a critique of their behavior, then it's all, oh, I'm being canceled. Oh no, don't cancel me. Oh, don't cancel me. So kinky. They're just like, oh no, I don't have no power. Oh, I'm just trying to live my life. And now they're coming and, oh, canceling me, not me. And it's just like, come on. Come on. Like, people have very few recourses against the rich and powerful, except to be like, hey, this is my experience with this person. You know, can we believe maybe that this person is a full guy who has the ability to perform in a way we like, be good at basketball, be a good actor, you know, make us laugh. Yeah, they can do that. And they can also, behind closed doors, when they know people would, you know, if they saw what happened, would judge them a little more harshly. Like, yeah, they can be shitty, you know? I like definitely don't think the idea of like true facts about a celebrity, like being like, hey, that's shitty. I don't want to support the person after I understand more fully about who they are. And I don't want to support. That just means like I don't have to watch their films, or I don't have to participate in whatever art they put out. I don't have to, you know, contribute to making them richer. Yeah, the idea that like, you know, whenever we talk about someone's actions and it causes them to lose out on work, if temporarily, that is supposed to be akin to lynching. You're taking a man's job is akin to killing him. No, it is not. I've lost a job, and I'm really glad that they just took my job rather than killing me. That's crazy that everyone kind of is like, oh yeah, it's the same thing. Oh, totally. Like, what? Come on. Come on. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like this, yeah, in this case, this person who's a trained actor, who has a reputation for being a gentle, kind, masculine person, someone accuses him of assault, someone whose name I don't even know. Someone whose name I don't know accuses him of assault. Well, I don't even know this person's name. All I know is their race and their gender. White woman versus black man we all love. We all know who we're supposed to choose. And then I think, like, I don't know. Aren't things more nuanced than that? Isn't he also a very well-resourced person in comparison to the accuser? Like, it's interesting. Um, it reminds me kind of, oh, interesting. So of my own dad a little bit, who, if you've met him, like, very smart man. He got a full ride to college. He was what is it, a lieutenant colonel in the army. He made it up to the highest ranks of the federal government. um Psychology major, master's in counseling. Very smart man, black man. um and he was very, like, if you met him, you would think he was kind of laid back, stoic, kind of cool guy. And he was, when he recognized that would benefit him. But, like, at home, when people who were paying him money were not looking, he was a lot shoutier. He was a lot less able to control his emotions. And he definitely was comfortable using violence to control my behavior and the behavior of my siblings. And it hurt me to, like, see his ability to, like, kind of turn it off when he was in the public eye and getting the benefit of being this good father with these well-behaved children. And to see him, like, expect us to, like, keep up the secret. So we weren't allowed to, if he'd have just yelled at us and we were on our way to dinner at a restaurant, we'd have to, not embarrass him by sulking. So I'm very used to, changing my behavior in order to make a dude who can hit me and who has more power than me and who has a better reputation than I do, in order to keep him happy. I'm used to stifling, my true feelings for someone. And I don't know, it's easy for me to believe someone who has a good reputation, a black man with a military, experience, like, that they are someone I love, and also someone who can be violent with people who have less power than them. So I like looking at, like, different parasocial relationships I have and seeing, like, oh, what if what was going on with my dad in his way is also going on in this situation? And yeah, that would make sense to me. It's tough being in a woman's body when dudes understand that they can kind of use the threat of violence to keep you in line. That's tough. Not just the threat of violence, but also the threat that this guy, certainly if he's made money, that he's going to be believed over you. What's his name? It reminded me also of, do you remember hearing a couple months ago, Amari Stoudemire, another famous black man, who was arrested for allegedly punching and slapping his daughter after repeatedly punching her. And he said, so he said, an incident occurred at his family home. It's an allegation based on a report that does not square with the facts. I'm of the Jewish faith. Today, Jewish people all over the world celebrate Hanukkah and hear the story of how we fought wickedness. I believe that whatever is hateful to you, do not do to others. As the investigation unfolds, the facts will show the allegations to be groundless, as my daughter's medical condition is not the result of being assaulted by a father who's nearly 7 feet tall and weighs 250 pounds. I could never see myself assaulting any person, especially my children. I respect, protect, and love my family, particularly my children. As a father, I ask for your grace as we secure our space with privacy. So yeah, he said that their daughter was being disrespectful and giving attitude to their grandmother. Stoudemire was accused of slapping his daughter after allegedly punching her. He told the cops his daughter, quote, received a whooping from him for being disrespectful and a liar. Well, squares with what we know of women, right? Sometimes they get disrespectful. They're liars. Sometimes you need to smack them around a little bit to keep them in line. I get it. I've received that from my own Black father. The part about how, you know, he's of the Jewish faith and Jewish people celebrate Hanukkah and hear the story of how we fight wickedness, and thus he could not have harmed his daughter. You know, Hanukkah actually celebrates the miracle that one little thing of oil lasted 8 days. Not that they fought wickedness, not that wickedness could not, you know, be performed by a Jewish person, but we know that a rich Black man who we have seen do a thing that we like, play basketball for a long time, you know, that's who he is. And the line about how, you know, he's 7 feet tall and 250 pounds, so he couldn't have assaulted his daughter, doesn't really make sense to me. I think I understood that my father understood that he just had to use enough force to hurt me, but not show any markings that might imply to, you know, the cops or an external source that, like, I was being abused or hit. And so, yeah, like, I recognize that people know how to control themselves enough to, like, not get in trouble for the stuff they do. I know he's got a lot of money. I was wondering how that turned out, actually. And it turns out crazy. Watch video big. Look. Battery case involving retired NBA star Amari Stoudemire and daughter gets dropped. Great. Perfect. Okay, so apparently the case had been dismissed due to failure of the victim to cooperate in the prosecution. Minor child versus adult who has a lot of resources. I don't know. I behave very well at work, even though I recognize no one's going to hit me if I don't. And so the idea that someone at home is able to, you know, put their hands on me to control my behavior because they have no other choice, I mean, I just don't believe it. So anyway, in the idea of, like, you know, when we're familiar, we have a bias towards things that are familiar. And so for me, it's familiar to understand that someone who has a good reputation, even a Black man with a good reputation, can still act in a way that harms the women in his life that love him. And so it's easy for me to understand that, like, a paid actor could, in, you know, spaces where he has more power, like, use that to be shitty. What? So I'd seen 2 directors speaking out in this case about it. So this was back before all this stuff came out about Jonathan Majors, there's a particular actor, relatively new on the scene, who, hold on, let me, ooh, yeah, I don't know. Particular actor, new on the scene, who Twitter has violently fallen head over heels for, who in actuality is a vicious, cruel, abusive human being, both professionally and in his personal life. And every new viral thirst tweet about him drives me insane. This was back in February, and someone reposted that to say, now we know who this tweet was about. And the person who posted it originally said, ding, ding, ding. Another director said, I'm just going to say this about Jonathan Majors and be done with it. Folks at Yale and the broader NYC community have known about him for years. He's a sociopath and abuser, and that's how virtually everyone speaks about him. It's a shame it took this long for him to be reported. I'm already seeing a bunch of, why didn't you do anything? Folks, people have tried, ultimately needing a victim to come forward. It's both simultaneously awful to know he's still doing this and also a relief that he may never get to again. You know, maybe this is an example of, oh, and also, you know, one of the victims recanted. Jonathan Majors' attorney released text messages that seem to show to me a girlfriend wanting to show to her boyfriend that she is sorry for getting him into trouble and trying all she can to take back. Okay, Billy says, it's tough with Sotomayor. It's possible that they reconciled something internally as a family without police intervention. Hopefully with more awareness, less harm. Hopefully, but I also think it's likely that the child who doesn't have money in the Stoudemire case was told, what are you going to do? You're going to let your father, who's provided you this great life, go to jail? You know he didn't mean it. You know it's okay. You know you should have been acting, wrong anyway. You shouldn't have made him, done that. Which is kind of what we're used to hearing, like women, it's our responsibility to, not anger or emasculate or make guys feel uncomfortable. And if they hit you because of it, well, guess you didn't do your job well enough, right? Your job is certainly not to speak about how this person has hurt you. He better not get in trouble for it. I think in a lot of abuse cases, victims recant because there's a lot of external pressure to not rock the boat. Come on. You're going to send him out into the unknown of letting outside eyes in on our family system. That's the thing you're not supposed to do. I don't know. It's possible they reconciled something internally as a family without police intervention. Yeah, I think typically that reconciliation is women recognizing they don't have a lot of power and that their recourse is like, what? No one's going to believe you. No one's going to take it seriously. This guy isn't going to go to jail for it. So you might as well learn how to live with it. That's how it was handled in my family. So I assume, it was handled the same in that way. But I get it. Like when we see a black man who's made it, a lot of black people, certainly I, want to see ourselves in that person. That's our parasocial relationship. We want to see, like, if we were in that situation, we wouldn't just be this monster beating a child, beating a woman. We would want to have some nuance about us. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I just feel like, we've seen this movie a lot. Okay, so let me see. Let me start to wrap this up. Crystal ball. Okay. What do I think? My vision is that Jonathan Majors gets away with this relatively unscathed. We all are like, thank God. Please, we get it. It was just some woman with a misunderstanding, and let this man continue to have his great career, without any more nuance. The people I love, only do good things, and they never do bad things, and the bad things they do are misunderstandings that were probably the other person's fault. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think if it's anything like Tupac or Chris Brown or Bill Cosby or Amari Stoudemire, you know, we'll talk about it for a couple of days while, when like a court case is on the horizon or something. But otherwise, we all want to get back to our simple, easy to understand parasocial relationships where the rich actor, is just trying his hardest, and these women need to stop being so, they're ruining the thing, okay? Just like, shh, ladies. So I think that'll happen. Or, you know, we do look at him and everyone with a little more nuance and understand like, oh, this could affect his marketability, but that's not a bad thing. He got he had an army recruitment ad that was coming out that they pulled temporarily at this point. But like, I don't know, do we want someone we like, a black man that we like, recruiting more black kids into the U.S. military industrial complex? I don't know. I feel like on another episode we could talk about how that's not great that the military like goes into low income neighborhoods to, get the brown poor kids to die in wars that white men say they need to die in. So maybe it's good that someone we're told to like and who we do identify with is not going to tell us now to go into the army. Maybe it will help us have a little bit more nuance about ourselves. One day we might accuse someone of harming us. One day we might be accused of harm. And let's see how we want to handle it, Yeah, so anyway, those are my predictions. Final thoughts. Okay, so I saw a lot when Johnathan Majors was in the Ebony magazine with flowers and everything. I did see some people who were like, it's the gay agenda. It's the gay agenda. Flowers, pink on a black man. Oh, they've ruined us. You heard that right. And that's why I really liked Johnathan Majors just being God damn it. Holy shit. Anyway, yeah, I saw a black man being vulnerable and people being like, no, that's gay. That's not what black men do. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, so sweet. We've got a medic on set too. Yeah, anyway, I saw this black man being vulnerable, being artsy, embracing some feminine ideas, and and people being like, oh, come on. Ugh. And I don't know, that's what vulnerability is, opening yourself up for an attack. What does vulnerability mean, actually? Let me see. The quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. So we understand that Johnathan Majors, Black men, people in general, vulnerability is something we're striving for right now, exposing yourself to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. And that is not just in wearing pink, it's also in being like, this is who I am. I'm not just this actor who does everything right. Sometimes I'm also a person who, uses violent expressions of my emotions. Sometimes I'm someone who uses my power in order to get away with stuff that I might not get away with if I had less power, if the power dynamics were different. I think that's all what goes into vulnerability is, information about you that could harm you. I think I hear a lot of the idea of like, when a Black man is accused of bad behavior, we're like, we're demonizing them. We're dehumanizing them. No, we're not. We're fucking humanizing them. Will Smith is both a great actor and seems like a great family man and a good business owner. And also, sometimes he is violent. Sometimes he slaps somebody when he's mad. Like, I think we, I like humanizing Black people, Black men, and I don't want us to get caught up in this idea that Black men are only victims who white people and women just try to tear them down unfairly by falsely accusing them of bad behavior when they would never. Like, why? They're humans. We've been taught that power is supposed to act a certain way, and people with less power are supposed to treat the powerful in a certain way. We're supposed to absolve them of anything. We're supposed to assume that, no, they tried their best. They did what was best for them. This shouldn't affect them. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's been working. So, in the same way that I have been doing Black Bunny holes about people who I like Gabrielle Union and Laverne Cox, I've also done episodes about Candace Owen, about who else did I do? I don't know. I just like people who, Jada Pinkett Smith, people who were taught in different ways to see them in a one-dimensional way. Oh, Candace Owens, monster, grifter. Jada Pinkett Smith, shrew, who's, ruining Black people and the Black man, and made a person like Will Smith be violent to another Black man in front of white people. RuPaul or Laverne Cox, just like, disgusting. What are they doing? Gabrielle Union, supporting their trans daughter. Ugh, that's the problem. What's wrong with everyone these days? Like, I don't know. Everyone, start thinking of everyone with a little bit of nuance, including the people we know, including the women, including the people we don't know. And let's consider our, haste to have a loud public opinion about someone we have a parasocial relationship with says something about us and about, where we're coming from and what behavior we think is appropriate and acceptable, and what we can do about it. So, I thought to talk about this because I'd seen someone who was like, kind of, no one say anything bad about Johnathan Majors. I'll be looking at you eye. And I just thought, like, why did you have to say anything? Johnathan Majors already has a lot of money and a great reputation and a lot of people working to maintain both of those things. Maybe who needs our help is the person without money, who we don't know. The person that we're more likely to be, the unknown person with less resources than a celebrity. The person who everyone's going to assume is lying, like Amari Stoudemire's daughter, the liar. Anyway, those are kind of my final thoughts. Oh, okay, so last part. So on Friday, Black Bunny Hole, I did Gabrielle Union, who is on my vision board here. Yes, Dwayne Wade. But you know who's also on my vision board from 2019? Oh, Johnathan Majors. See? So, and it's funny, actually, when those ebony pictures of Johnathan Majors were coming out, it was right around when I was trying to finish our vision boards, and I really wanted to cut one of those pictures out for Billy's vision board. But turns out Ebony is no longer a print magazine. It's only online. So it would have been like a whole hassle to go to Kinko's, print it out, do all this stuff. And so I was like, actually, I have everything I need right here. Let me not even, I guess that's not supposed to go on this vision board. And then a month later, we get a fuller picture of who Johnathan Majors is that made me consider oh, maybe the universe was like, this is actually not a person who you might necessarily want to point towards. So just interesting. Love learning more about people. This is all made up. So thank you so much for tuning in. And this has been an interesting one. Yeah, so see you tomorrow for how Billy sees it. Can't wait. Okay, oh yeah, hold on, I didn't forget about you. Give me 1 second. Yeah, man, have a great week. Everything's made up. Ooh, love it. All right, I love you. Thanks so much. You guys have been great. Yeah, everything's made up. See you later. Let's turn this on. All right, and then, okay, later. Bye.